All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling the single biggest concept that literally separates the traders who survive from the ones who completely blow up their accounts. We're talking about the art and, honestly, the science of cutting your losses early. Now, I know it doesn't sound quite as glamorous as, picking the next big crypto coin or stock that's going to go to the moon, but trust me on this, it's absolutely crucial. It's the rock-solid foundation of every single successful financial strategy out there. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of how to actually do this, I want you to really think about a question. What is the biggest lie in trading? Just take a second to ponder that, because, we are about to completely shatter a massive myth, one that's probably costing you money right now, and has to do with how you view the entire purpose of trading itself.
Here's the thing. The biggest myth out there is that trading is a game of prediction. People genuinely think success comes from knowing exactly where the market is going to go. But the reality? Trading is actually a game of protection. You really don't need a crystal ball to be right all the time. You just need to fiercely protect your capital when you're wrong. I mean, even the absolute best analysts and AI systems can't predict every move correctly. Without a stop loss, you're basically a driver speeding down a highway without any brakes. No way that ends well.
To really unpack this whole concept, we're breaking down the core principles from this essential war library guide, Cutting Your Losses Early. We're going to use the insights from this text to totally shift your mindset. We want to take you from acting like a gambler hoping for a lucky break to operating like a professional risk manager running a really tight business. Section 1. The Psychology of Losing, Why Our Brains Are Hardwired to Fail. Let's see how our own minds are actually our absolute biggest enemy here. So when a trade starts going against you, your brain kind of goes into overdrive and takes you down this really dangerous emotional descent. It happens in 4 super clear steps. First, there's denial. You tell yourself, it's just a small pullback, just shaking out the weak hands. Then, hope creeps in. Maybe tomorrow it'll recover. I just need to be patient. Then, you start bargaining with the market. Okay, if it goes up just a little bit, just to break even, I swear I'll exit. And finally, when the losses get huge, fear just completely sets in. You freeze up. You do absolutely nothing. Notice how at every single step along the way, you're replacing cold logic with messy feelings that keep you trapped in a losing position way too long. The market does not care about your hope. It responds to supply and demand, definitely not emotion.
The really crucial point here is understanding this nasty psychological trap, the sunk cost fallacy. Imagine you've held a position for weeks, just watching it bleed down. Once you invest that much money and time into a bad trade, your ego kicks in, hard. You tell yourself, I can't leave now, I've already lost way too much. So instead of just cutting the loss at 10%, you wait until it's 50%. Your ego essentially prevents you from simply admitting a mistake, and that turns a totally normal everyday market event into absolute account destruction. Listen, in trading, past losses do not matter. The only thing that matters is future risk.
Let's think about the stark difference between a healthy loss and a super dangerous one. Say you buy a token at $100. If you plan your exit and sell at $95, you take a $5 controlled loss. That's healthy, that's safe. But if you hold on just hoping it comes back and you eventually panic sell at $60, you've taken a $40 emotional loss. Just think about that contrast for a second. Refusing to take a tiny, planned paper cut literally leads to a massive, painful wound, and all without the market actually changing its behavior. Only your reaction changed the final outcome.
Moving on to Section 2, Amateurs versus Professionals, the Risk Divide. So how on earth do the pros actually avoid this emotional roller coaster?
Well, there is a massive contrast in primary focus here. Beginners enter a trade asking, how much can I make? But professionals, they ask, if I'm wrong, how much can I lose? Beginners will often risk 20 to 50% of their entire account on a single trade, basically acting like a gambler seeking certainty. Professionals, though, they risk a tiny 1 to 2%, acting much more like a business owner, simply playing the probabilities. When a loss happens, the amateur gets super emotional. The professional, they just execute a mechanical, automatic exit. To them, it's just a standard business operating expense. No big deal. I really want to highlight this specific number because honestly, it's the magic formula for survival. 1 to 2%. Professionals survive losing streaks because they strictly follow this golden rule, only risking a tiny fraction of their account on any single trade. If you have a $1,000 account and risk 1%, well, that's just a $10 risk. Even if you hit a terrible streak and lose 10 trades in a row, you still have plenty of capital left to keep playing the game. Because remember, if you lose your capital, you lose your access to any future opportunities. Now, the math reveals a truth that honestly shocks a lot of beginners. Get this.
60% losing trades. Yeah, you can actually be wrong most of the time and still consistently grow your account. How? Well, because if your losses are kept super tight by that 1 to 2% rule and your winning trades are allowed to actually run for much larger profits, the math just inherently works in your favor. Consistency in risk management is vastly more powerful than trying to predict the market perfectly.
Section 3. Rethinking the stop loss, your emergency exit. Let's completely redefine the primary tool that makes all of this magic actually possible.
We all kind of know what a stop loss is, but we really need to stop viewing it as some annoying limitation. A stop loss is simply a pre-decided price level where you automatically exit a trade to prevent further loss. Think of it exactly like a seatbelt in your car or a fire extinguisher in your kitchen. You don't buckle up because you expect a crash on the way to the grocery store. You wear it because disaster is always a possibility. A stop loss doesn't control your profit, it answers the only question that truly matters. If I am completely wrong here, how much am I willing to lose?
So, let's see how this builds into an actual, usable strategy. We're going to walk through the exact steps to build a bulletproof stop-loss plan. Step 1. Define your risk amount before you even think about clicking buy. Step 2. Place your stop-loss based on market structure, like, say, slightly below a key support level, so you only exit if your actual trading idea is proven wrong. Step 3. Aim for a 1 to 2 risk-to-reward minimum. Meaning, if you risk $10, your target really should be at least $20. And step 4, this is the absolute most critical rule: never, ever move it further away when a trade starts going against you. I mean it. Moving a stop loss out of fear means the market is now controlling you, not the other way around. I want you to consider this ultimate mindset shift. A small loss is a successful execution of risk management. When your stop loss gets hit, it is absolutely not a failure. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. It is you successfully following your business plan. It means you survived to trade another day. The goal isn't to magically avoid all losses. The goal is to avoid account destruction.
Section 4. Discipline as survival, the ultimate trading skill. As we wrap up this explainer, we really need to zero in on the single trait that will keep you in the game long enough to actually win. If you truly want to survive out there, you absolutely must ruthlessly eliminate these common amateur mistakes. Trading without a stop loss, that just gives you unlimited downside. Moving your stop loss mid-trade, that completely destroys your risk plan. Over-risking, like putting 10% or more on one trade, that means just a handful of bad calls will wipe you out entirely. And revenge trading, trying to wildly win back a loss you literally just took, that is pure emotion, zero strategy. Listen, the market doesn't blow up accounts. The market isn't out there targeting beginners. Poor discipline blows up accounts, every single time.
I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful thought straight from the War Library text. You don't fail in trading because you lose money. You fail because you refuse to stop losing early. Every single successful trader loses money. It's just a fact of the business. But they survive because they cut the cord way before the damage becomes permanent. So I have to ask you, the next time a trade goes in the red, are you going to keep hoping, or are you finally ready to start protecting?